悲愁，朋友浮沉孤单过，一生朋友你会懂，还有伤，还有痛，还要走，有一生一起走，那些日子不再有，一起玩。一生一生情悲愁，朋友浮沉孤单过，一生朋友你会懂，还有伤，还有痛，还要走，一起玩一杯的一生情。
Rise for the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of the People's Republic of China.
You may all be seated.
Please welcome your hosts, Carlo Rosa and Luella Chan.
Mabuhay, mabuhay, and welcome to the ceremony of award for promoting the Philippines-China understanding. We are coming to you live, and my name is Carlo Orosa.
Ni hao. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Luella Chan.
It is our great pride and honor to be your hosts for today's momentous occasion, right, Loela?
Absolutely. And thank you, El Gama Penumbra, for a very heartfelt performance. We were all moved. And you know what, Carlo? As a Filipino Chinese, I'm so grateful to be a part of this very momentous event once again because it symbolizes the strong and enduring unity between the Philippines and China.
Agree, and I'm so excited to share the stage with you, Luella. And as we award the deserving individuals who passionately contributed to the strengthening of friendship between the Philippines and China.
I'm sure our guests are as excited as we are. On that note, I would like to greet our lovely guests who are here with us and to those who are watching us online.
You are all in for a great show, but before we celebrate, let us acknowledge and appreciate the individuals who remain steadfast in their commitment to foster strong ties and promote friendly relations between the Philippines and China. Let's start.
Let's start with President-elect Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Incoming First Lady of the Republic of the Philippines, Attorney Liza A. Marcos.
His Excellency, Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines, Ambassador Huang Xilian.
Association for Philippines-China Understanding Chairman, Secretary Raul Lambino.
Association for Philippines-China Understanding President, Jeffrey Na.
Senator Aquilino Martin D. Pimentel III.
National Security Advisor, Dr. Clarita Carlos.
DCOO Secretary Designate Attorney Rose Beatrix Cruz Angeles.
Incoming Head of the Presidential Management Staff, Naida Angping.
We would also like to acknowledge the presence of our APCU 2021 laureates.
And of course, last but not the least, we would like to acknowledge the presence of former Philippine President Joseph Ejercito Estrada.
Ladies and gentlemen, the awardees for the major contributions category are founding president of Peking University Overseas Students Alumni Association, Professor Jaime Flor Cruz. Physician, lawyer, and professor at the University of San Agustine's College of Liberal Arts in Iloilo, Dr. Mario Leolandro Emilio Aportaleda. President and Editor-in-Chief of SovereignPH.com, Adolfo Paglinawan. And 5-1 Talk Brand Ambassador, John Nicolo Fernandez. The Outstanding Contributions awardees are Philippine Association for Chinese Studies, former President Dr. Romel Banlawin. Global Talk News Radio and ang maestro host Herman Camentong Laurel. Kaisa para sa Kaunlaran Inc. founding member Teresita Ang C. And Confucius Institute at University of the Philippines Diliman Director Dr. Lourdes Tanhueco Nepomuceno.
Fame awardees are former First Lady Imelda Romualdez Romualdez Marcos, and former Special Envoy of the Philippines to China and Philippines Silk Road International Chamber of Commerce Chairman, Ambassador Francis Chua. Once again, a big round of applause for them. We truly appreciate your presence and participation in this meaningful event.
Now, Luella, do you know what makes this afternoon event very, very exciting?
Do share, Carlo.
Okay, this event is actually both exciting and inspiring because we are celebrating the contributions of our APCU 2022 laureates in the promotion of good relations between Philippines and China.
Yes, indeed, we are recognizing their great efforts in improving the bilateral relations of the Philippines and China in many different fields, such as public service, trade and commerce, arts, culture, and sciences. The Association for Philippines-China Understanding and the Chinese Embassy in Manila know that this long-standing relationship between the Philippines and China would not be the same if not for the efforts of the very people we are acknowledging today.
You are completely right. The profound and enduring friendship of the Philippines and China has already spanned many years now, and this long-standing friendship enables both countries to move forward to greatness together.
In fact, through the years, we have achieved prosperity and triumphs together, and a great part of that is because of the unwavering support of those we are honoring today.
And on that note, it's time that we recognize a woman who throughout the decades astonished us with her wit, beauty, and strength. She's an icon who still stands as an epitome of a true Filipina. She is none other than the former First Lady of the Philippines, Imelda Romualdez Marcos.
Madam Imelda Marcos, also known as the Iron Butterfly, is the wife of the late Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos. Far from being a traditional First Lady, Madam Imelda was a force in her own right. She was considered as among the few who were openly and attentively received by renowned leaders like China's Prime Minister Zhou Enlai and leader Mao Zedong, to name a few. Her passion for culture, beauty, and the arts were said to be one that greatly inspired China's Prime Minister Zhou Enlai and leader Mao Zedong, securing the Philippines' favor and support in negotiating not only for an important oil deal, but sealed the establishment of the official diplomatic ties between China and the Philippines on the 9th of June, 1975. From the time of her being the First Lady of the country until today, Madam Imelda remains an epitome of power and beauty, not only for her family, but also her constituents who have always looked up to her and her family. She continues to be a pillar of strength to her children and grandchildren, and an inspiration to every Filipino who holds the belief that true beauty is God's love made real. Our former First Lady, Imelda Romualdez Marcos.
Dear Secretary Lambino, may I first take this opportunity to thank all of you for the constant efforts to improve and maintain the relationship between the Philippines and the People's Republic of China. I would like to congratulate the people behind this gracious event of the award for promoting Philippines-China understanding, particularly the Association for Philippines-China Understanding officials and members, led by its chairman, Secretary Raul L. Lambino, Chairman Emeritus, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, APCU President Mr. Jeffrey Nang, and APCU Vice Chairman Sixto Benedicto. The officials of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Manila, led by the Ambassador of China to the Philippines, His Excellency Ambassador Hong Si Lian. It is an extraordinary honor and privilege to have been given the opportunity to be one of the Hall of Fame APCU 2021 awardee. I am truly honored to receive an award along with the other individuals who have made remarkable contributions in promoting friendship between China and the Philippines. I am looking forward to having a meaningful bilateral relationship between the People's Republic of China and the Philippines to further deepen and broaden our friendship and constructive cooperation for the benefit of our people. Please accept, Secretary, the renewed assurances of my highest consideration. With best regards, I remain, sincerely, Imelda Romualdez Marcos.
special guest will give his words for all of us today. He has been in the public service for over 25 years, from being a governor and congressman of Ilocos Norte to senator of our country. And with the recent 2022 presidential election, he won by an incredible landslide victory. Please help me welcome Philippine President-elect Ferdinand R. Bongbong Marcos Jr.
Good evening. Allow me to greet our distinguished guests, of course, headed by our former President, President Joseph Estrada. Ang tawag ko sa kanya, siya ang aking among tunay. Mula nung siya'y naging Pangulo, ang tawag ko kay Pangulong Erap ay ang aking among tunay. Hanggang ngayon, kahit tayo napalaran na, Boss, among tunay. Good to see you po. His Excellency, the Ambassador from the People's Republic of China, our good friend who has fostered so many relationships in the time that he has come as the representative of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Ambassador Wang Ziliang. All of those of you who have worked hard in the association of the Chinese-Philippine understanding that we have tried to work on since the diplomatic ties were normalized in 1975. I have been lucky enough to have been able to attend many of the commemorations of the Chinese-Philippine Day as we are doing now. And it is because, well, certainly because, in fact, it is, in my view, a very important relationship that we must continue to evolve as the years go by and as the changes that we have seen around the world are affecting our own status within the region. And with that cooperation and with that communication, I think that we have been able to find a way to grow and to make stronger the relationships between our two countries, the People's Republic of China and the Republic of the Philippines. In many ways, the signing of the diplomatic agreement between the People's Republic and the Republic of the Philippines in 1975 was just a formalization or normalization of an informal relationship that has been shown to go back at least to the Tang Dynasty. And that is how long the relationship between the Philippines and China has been going on, and this is at very many levels. And with the addition now of the addition in 1975 of the signing and normalization of diplomatic relations between our two countries, we formalized that informal relationship and added another facet to our dealings, in that we added government to government. And that has been something that I believe has been very advantageous to both our countries. And so how do I see the future between China and the Philippines? I see the future of China and the Philippines developing in many ways that maybe we do not see now. I will encourage our relationship to not only be in the very strict and formal senses of business or government to government or public and private partnerships. All of those we will encourage. But I learned a term and one of the conferences I was invited to in China. And it is a good term because it is, I believe, presents for us another opportunity to grow closer. And that term that I learned from the Chinese is people to people. And I think that it is another place, another area, another direction that we can explore to strengthen our foundations, to strengthen the foundation of our partnership, our friendship, and so that we move forward together into the future. The difficulties, the differences we may have will be helped in every way as long as we continue trying and continue to communicate and continue to be forthright in the interests of each of our countries. I am of the firm belief that as we try to make our way in the post-pandemic world, then that each country will not be able to thrive, to survive and to thrive by itself. We have developed such a close global community, both in politics, both in diplomacy, also in business, and so that it is not possible any longer for a single country to make its own way and say that they will succeed. I truly believe that it is the partnerships and alliances that we as a country will make with our friends and allies and partners around the world that will keep the stability of our economic recovery. And I think that, again, the synergy that will come from that cooperation is what I believe will bring us forward to a bright future. And to come to the day when we can say we are beyond the pandemic crisis. We are beyond the economic crisis brought on by the pandemic. We can only do it, certainly in the Philippines, we can only do it with our partners. And our strongest partner has always been, in that regard, our close neighbor and our good friend, the People's Republic of China. So I congratulate all of us. We in the Philippines are celebrating our 124th Independence Day. And together with that, we celebrate the 47th commemoration of the signing of diplomatic relations between the People's Republic of China. And it was both a form of independence, both our independence and both our signing with the People's Republic of China. It was our independence as well. Perhaps we will continue what President Duterte has started, what has been described as an independent foreign policy. And this is what we feel is best in the national interest. And I think it is to be advantageous not only to our friends in China, but to all our friends around the world. So with that in mind, I encourage you all to continue to work to strengthen these relationships. I add my congratulations to the awardees. I thank you all for putting in the Hall of Fame my mother, and I think I may be biased. I think it is just right because China cannot find a greater champion than my mother in the Philippines. So thank you very much, and we look forward to continuing fostering this relationship, making it stronger, making it deeper, and to the advantage of our two great countries. Thank you very much, and good evening.
Thank you, Philippine President-elect Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. it's time to hear from the man at the heart of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the Republic of the Philippines. He has worked with China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs for 30 years and had profound experience in the many roles he took. He's currently the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China in the Republic of the Philippines.
Let us all welcome Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines, His Excellency Huang Xilian.
'Good evening to you all. I have a long name list to address. Be patient. Your Excellency, President-elect Bonbon Marcos, President-elect of the Republic of the Philippines, and incoming First Lady, Madam Lisa. Your Excellency, former President Joseph Estrada, whom I received 20 years ago in China when I was a desk officer on Philippines. Your Excellency, former President Magapagal Arroyo, who is giving a video speech today. Your Excellency, incoming senators, cabinet secretaries, and National Security Advisor Dr. Carlos, distinguished guests and laureates, dear friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, President-elect Bonbon Marcos, for your very encouraging and warm remarks. And at the outset, I also want to congratulate the President-elect and also all the people in this room and the people of the Philippines on the 124th Independence Day. I believe that the people of the Philippines have achieved a great deal in the past 6 years, and I am firmly believe that under the leadership of the next administration led by the President-elect Bonbon Marcos, the Philippine people will achieve even greater. I'm greatly honored to join all of you today in this awarding ceremony of the second award for promoting Philippine-China understanding. And just now, when we watch the video, we were all very impressed by the first awardee of the Fame of War Hall, Madam Imelda, who I believe is most well known among Chinese people. And in the past few weeks, the video showing her meeting with Chairman Mao and the video showing her singing the song 我爱北京天安门 has gone viral on the social media in China, which has greatly promoting the kind of fond sentiment between the peoples of China and the Philippines. So she deserves the first award of the Fame of Hall. So I want to congratulate all those awardees for the year of 2021. And as this award enters its second year, I'm pleased to see more nominees and more colorful stories of all the awardees. The traditional friendship between China and the Philippines has lasted for more than 1,000 years. In mid-1970s, Chairman Mao, together with President Marcos and Madam Imelda, established that diplomatic ties between our two countries. leaving behind a lot of very valuable historic memories. Last year, and as I said, that's last year, Madame Imada was awarded with the first Hall of Fame for the opening the door for our two countries and her long-term commitment to this great relationship. I also know that President-elect Bongbong Marcos paid his first visit to China in 1974 as young as 17. And that was much earlier than I first visited my capital. Thanks to the dedicated cultivation of generations of leaders and pioneers of the two countries, our friendship has continued to mark new progress. President Estrada signed the presidential decree to establish China-Philippine Friendship Week, and then President Arroyo declared June the 9th as the China-Philippine Friendship Day. Now, after 47 years, our aspiration for greater understanding and deeper friendship has never changed and will not change. I'm truly grateful for all those who have contributed to the establishment of our diplomatic ties and our friendship. Over the past 6 years, under the guidance of President Xi Jinping and President Duterte, China-Philippine relations have come a long way and has been elevated to the one of comprehensive strategic cooperation. China has maintained Philippines' largest trading partner, second largest export market, and source of foreign investment for the Philippines. A large number of cooperation projects continue to deliver, marking major progress in synergizing the Belt and Road Initiative and the Build program. We have also handled our differences in this constructive manner, which has not only broadened our cooperation, deepened our cooperation, but also injected positive energy into the peace and stability in this region. Both China and the Philippines are developing countries in Asia. The development of our two countries is deeply rooted in the good neighborhood and in an emerging Asian family. Last month, President Xi stressed in his telephone conversation with President-elect Bongbong Marcos that the two countries should write a grand story on the China-Philippines friendship in a new era and follow through the blueprint for friendly cooperation in Chinese, 一张蓝图画到底. And President-elect Bongbong Marcos expressed his hope to see the relationship shift to higher gear. I'm fully confident that under the guidance of our leaders, our relations will surely open a new chapter and reach new heights. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to once again congratulate all the laureates and pay high tribute to your contributions. You are undoubtedly the spokesperson and true heroes of our friendship. I look forward to more people contributing to this great cause. The everlasting friendship between the Chinese and Philippine people is an inexhaustible driving force for the long-term development of our bilateral relations. Let us commit together to steering our relationship in the right direction, deepen our mutually beneficial cooperation, and usher in an even brighter future for China-Philippines relations. I thank you and wish this ceremony a great success. Long live China-Philippine friendship mabuhay, and maraming salamat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Huang Xilian. Pandemic, we unfortunately were not able to host a face-to-face awards ceremony. And now that the world has finally opened up again, it is just right for us to also recognize the first batch and pioneering APCU laureates. Let us give this very special moment for them.
May we call on stage the laureates of the Award for Promoting Philippines-China Understanding 2021. For the major contributions category, our founding president of Peking University Overseas Students Alumni Association, Professor Jaime Flor Cruz. Physician, lawyer, and professor of the University of San Agustine's College of Liberal Arts in Iloilo, Emilio Aportaleda. President and Editor-in-Chief of SovereignPH.com, Adolfo Addo Aglinawa. And 51 Talk Brand Ambassador John Nicolo Fernandez.
Kindly join us up on stage. Thank you. May we request you to please join us up on stage. For the Outstanding Contributions Awardees, here are Philippine Association for Chinese Studies President, Dr. Romel Banlawi. Global Talk News Radio and Ang Maestro host, Herman Camentong Laurel. Confucius Institute at University of the Philippines Diliman Director, Dr. Lourdes Tanhueco Nepomuceno.
Now here are the Hall of Fame awardees. Former First Lady Imelda Romualdez Marcos and former Special Envoy of the Philippines to China and Philippine Silk Road International Chamber of Commerce Chairman Ambassador Francis Chua. Ladies and gentlemen, the APCU 2021 laureates. Let us give them a round of applause.
So much. You may please be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, 2021 laureates. At this junction, let me introduce an empowered woman who made significant efforts in promoting friendship and in establishing the relationship of the Philippines with China during her presidency. She's a former senator from 1992 to 1998. She was then elected as the Vice President of the Philippines in 1998, and by 2001, she became the second female president of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chairman Emeritus of Association for the Philippines-China Understanding and former Philippine President, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Let's watch this.
Ambassador Wang, Chairman Lambino, President Jeffrey, ladies and gentlemen. First, belated Philippines-China Friendship Day and advanced Happy Independence Day. Second, congratulations to the officers of APCO for actively promoting the goals of this association even during the days of pandemic restrictions. You show that when one truly believes in a cause, he or she will find the energy and the means to promote that cause. Continuing the APPCU, now on its second year, is another proof of your sincere desire to make the friendship between the Philippines and China warmer. Our two countries are now in what I call a second age, golden age of relations. It was Chinese President Hu Jintao who told me when we had a bilateral talk at one of the APEC leaders summits that our two countries were approaching the golden age of relationship. Subsequent exchanges and cooperation between our two nations, China's generosity to the Filipino people, and the Filipino-Chinese community's tireless work to further strengthen the ties between our two countries led to the full blossoming of our relations. Everyone knows that some time ago, we had a 6-year period when Philippines-China relations were at what may be called an all-time low since the start of our formal relations in 1975. However, when Mayor Rodrigo Duterte was elected president, he reversed that unfriendly stance towards China such that in 2018, Chinese President Xi Jinping came over for a state visit, the first visit to our country of a Chinese president since President Hu's state visit in 2005. President Xi's 2018 visit signaled that our two countries are once again close buddies and good partners, working for our common goal to attain inclusive and sustainable growth in Asia in an atmosphere of unity and peace. I cannot, however, avoid mentioning that period of chilly relations because that served as the background for the recipient of APCO's special Paduka Pahala Award. For those who are not historically inclined, Paduka Pahala was a Sultan of Sulu who traveled with his wife and 2 sons to China to visit the Chinese emperor. He died in Shandong province on his way home. The Chinese emperor ordered a mausoleum to be constructed to serve as burial site for the Sultan. Paduka Pahala may very well be regarded as our very first ambassador to China, and his mausoleum, which is a tourist attraction to this day, remains a symbol of the deep affection China holds for the Philippines. Hence, APCO's Paduka Pahala Award is given posthumously to Ambassador Jose Santiago Chito Santa Romana, our most recent ambassador to China, not only because his death paralleled that of Sultan Paduka Pahalas in that Chito died while on duty in China, but more than that, Ambassador Santa Romana was a giant among Philippine diplomats, one who dared take on a job that, in his very words, no one wanted, at the time when Philippines-China relations had turned cold. In fact, Chito's 2 immediate predecessors, Sonia Brady and Erlinda Basilio, fell very ill from stress. Chito was faced with a mission impossible, that of repairing the damage done to our two countries' centuries-old good relations. But Chito was always a courageous man. Huge challenges were not new to him. While attending college, he already had a name as a student activist, and according to his many friends, he was in China in the early 1970s when he learned that an arrest order for him had been sent out, so he decided to stay. He learned the language and the culture, did manual labor for some time before making use of his proficiency in English to teach this language to the Chinese, and much later joined the China Bureau of ABC News, where he later became bureau chief until he retired in 2010. He lived in China before the country had its economic boom and experienced how that country's phases of reforms positively transformed the lives of hundreds of millions of Chinese. His deep knowledge of the language and the people of his adopted country and his own congenial attributes made him the ideal choice as a Philippine ambassador to China when we urgently needed someone to rekindle the lost warmth of friendship. In the words of his friend and fellow journalist Benjamin Kang Lim, Chito was patient, professional, and never took things personally. The epitome of a Filipino gentleman, sincere, decent, and kind. I met Chito many times before he was appointed as ambassador and when he was already one, and I could not but agree with those words of praise for him. With all those personal qualities and aided by President Duterte's positive views on China, Chito pulled off what many other seasoned diplomats probably could not have done as well, restoring China's good faith in the Philippines, such that in no less than 2 years from his appointment as ambassador, Chinese President Xi Jinping made a state visit to our country. The Department of Foreign Affairs recognizes Ambassador Santa Romana's contribution to Philippine diplomacy. Thus, under his distinguished tenure, Philippines-China relations flourished despite differences. Indeed, they flowered all the more in maturity and were deeply strengthened. APCO's Pahala Paduka Award to the late Ambassador Santa Romana is our way of recognizing his invaluable service to the nation and thanking him for helping advance APCO's goals to deepen our country's friendship with China. We also have our other awardees who've given a big push to warmer Philippines-China relations and whose efforts have made a big impact on the lives of our people. We have our Hall of Fame awardees, my fellow former President Joseph Erap Estrada and Ambassador Francisco Frank Benedicto. Congratulations, President Erap and Frank. From the time President Erap was a mayor until he was elected senator, vice president, then president, and much later mayor of Manila, he has always been supportive of the Filipino-Chinese community. So much so that among Filipino dignitaries past and present, he is among the most preferred invitees to events of the Filipino-Chinese community. Then and now, President Erap's friendliness and ever-readiness to help endear him to the Chinoys, especially the Filipino-Chinese community. My only regret is that my efforts for him to be a guest in Beijing when he was Manila mayor fell through. I hope we can still make it happen even during his retirement. Mabuhay ka, President Erap. Then we have Ambassador Frank Benedicto, Cebu's pride in the diplomatic world. He served 4 Philippine presidents, Presidents Cory Aquino, FBR, Erap, and me. Throughout his assignments, he always made the Philippines proud. He was such a good example of how Filipino and Chinese cultures could blend seamlessly. Congratulations, Frank, and thank you for your outstanding service during my presidency, and thank you for your support to APCO Cebu. I also congratulate our other awardees for the outstanding contributions category. Wilson Lee Flores, moderator of Kamuning's Bakeries Pandesal Forum and honorary chair of Anvil. Rodrigo Rod Capunan, Mauro Giasamonte, Princess Giselle Kiram, a descendant of the Sultan of Sulu. Congratulations too to those who are receiving the APCO APPCU under the major contributions category. Paul Gutierrez, Professor Kevin Franco Pamintuan, Celso Cainglet, April Marie Dayap. To all of our awardees today, congratulations again. We of APCO hope that your award will inspire you even more to further relations between the Philippines and China. To the leadership of APCO, I say, as Chairman Emeritus of this association, keep up the good work and ensure that this renewed golden age of friendship will be mutually beneficial for our two countries. Mabuhay and sheshe.
Thank you for that very inspiring message, former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo.
Now, let's hear a message from the hardworking chairman of the Association for Philippines-China Understanding, Secretary Raul Lambino.
His Excellency, President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr., sir, and incoming Madam First Lady, Attorney Liza Reneta Marcos. Her Excellency, former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, Chairperson Emeritus of APCO. His Excellency, former President Joseph Arap Estrada, our Hall of Famer awardee in 2022. His Excellency, Ambassador Wang Silien, Honorable Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel, and his lady, Madam Pimentel, incoming National Security Advisor, Secretary Clarita Carlos, my mentor, good friend for so many years, incoming Secretary Trixie Cruz Angeles of the PCO, the Philippine Coast Guard Commandant, Admiral, my good friend Admiral Artemio Abo, the other distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I'd like to acknowledge and congratulate the distinguished awardees for 2022, led by His Excellency President Joseph Estrada and Ambassador Benedicto. These men and women of our multicultural society who are among the leaders in shaping our people's thoughts, opinions, cultural taste, and attitudes. They are here among us today because each one represents the best of our aspirations and intentions in promoting mutual understanding between the Philippines and China. They are here not by chance, but by dint of hard work, inspiring faith in ourselves and in the future that we share with our Asian neighbor. They have, bit by bit, helped build and shape who we are and will be in our relations with China by their deeds and by their actions taken in their fields of endeavor. This is the reason our 10 laureates of 2022 have been chosen from among a large field of nominees to become the 2022 awardees for promoting Philippine-China understanding. They will be honored today in ceremonies organized by the Association for Philippine-China Understanding and the Chinese Embassy in Manila. Let me also congratulate the laureates of 2021, led by former First Lady Madam Imelda Romualdez Marcos. In many times that I have visited China, at least 12 provinces and countless cities in China, the most popular lady being asked every time is Madam First Lady Imelda Romualdez Marcos. Let me congratulate everyone for reaching this milestone, and may your outstanding work continue. In last month's Philippine presidential elections, the state of Philippine-China relations gained a fair share of the spotlight during the campaign period as never before in our electoral history. Thank you, Professor Clarita Carlos, our incoming National Security Advisor, for those very intelligent questions that made the 2022 election really challenging. There were those that sought to fan the fires of misunderstanding between our two nations over festering disputes up the West Philippine Sea. Even more extremely, there were a few strident voices that vowed to defend every inch of Philippine territory as though our two nations were gearing up for war. But clearly and evidently, those views fell on fallow ground. The Filipino people rejected them by voting overwhelmingly for the candidate for president and for vice president who promoted diplomacy as the best way for our two nations to move forward. In a sense, the outcome of the election validates the long-term advocacy of our organization and also enriches the context in which the award ceremony today is being held. My view is that the sense of mutual understanding that our awardees and APCO itself have propagated through these years has taken root in the Filipino consciousness. It has taken hold so deeply that it found full and meaningful expression in a particular candidate's view during the last elections. The rhetoric may have been harsh, but the ground has become fertile more than ever for promoting greater understanding between our two nations. I can say that as of today, mutual understanding between the Philippines and China has never been better than at any time in the past 2 decades. Thank you, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, for the new direction of our Philippine foreign policy. For the shared future of our two countries, this portends well of enhanced bilateral relations as Manila and Beijing prepare to transition from the administration of President Duterte to that of President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Even as we prepare to meet that moment that many weeks from now, we cannot rest on our achievements, for promoting mutual understanding is a tricky and demanding task. We must meet the moment of transition of a new leader more determined than ever to do more, to do better, and to win more adherence over to our cause. For APCO and our 10 laureates of 2022 and our 10 laureates of 2021, I believe this is one compelling moment to move significantly forward. And so we should, and so we must. Again, congratulations to our awardees. Thank you and mabuhay.
Thank you, Secretary Raul Lambino. Also like to acknowledge the incoming representative of the 1st District of Ilocos Norte, Ferdinand Alexander Sandro Marcos. Welcome.
Welcome.
Let's move on to our award, shall we? Here are the awards for promoting Philippines-China Understanding 2022 Major Contribution Awardees. May we request Mr. Sixto Benedicto and Attorney Rose Beatrix Trixie Cruz Angeles to come up on stage to present the awards.
And public intellectual who has been very straightforward with his positions and socio-political discourses. His engagements are equally inspiring, such as being the head executive assistant and program director of the National Council on Food Security and Jobs Creation from 2003 to 2004, and currently serving as a philosophy professor at the University of the Philippines, Visayas. Congratulations, Professor Celso L. Cainglet.
Professor Celso L. Cainglet is a vocal academician and public intellectual who is straightforward with his positions in socio-political discourses. As an academician and a public intellectual, he has not only rendered services as a tri-media consultant, editor, and social political analyst with a long list of publications in newspapers, magazines, and scholarly journals, but more importantly, he has been very dynamic with his views mainly where matters of international relations are concerned, such as the issues on the West Philippine Sea. His career and professional life may be described as largely academic, serving as a faculty member in various universities, colleges, and institutes in the country to the present day. Currently, Professor Cainglet is serving as philosophy professor at the University of the Philippines in Visayas. Apart from the academic, his government and consultancy services engagements are equally inspiring. Over the years, he has held important missions in both public and the private sectors, namely as Executive Director of Global Filipinos from 2004 to 2006, as Correspondence Director at the Office of the President of the Republic of the Philippines from 2008 to 2010, and as Senior Analyst and Assistant Editor-in-Chief of the Center for Strategy, Enterprise, and Intelligence, or Sensei e-newspaper, consultant to the Office of the House Speaker of the Philippine Congress from 2019 to 2020, to name a few. Professor Cainglet renders consultancy services for the Committee on National Defense of the Philippine Congress. Given his humble but truly inspiring background and experience, Professor Celso Cainglet is recognized by the Awards for the Promotion of Philippine-China Understanding, or APCU, for his vocal expression and powerful stance in promoting better ties, understanding, friendship, and cooperation with China as a neighbor in Asia, particularly on issues involving the West Philippine Sea and the eastern parts of the South China Sea. For him, there are valuable lessons to be learned from the experiences of Taiwan and Vietnam, especially where international diplomacy is essential. Accordingly, while there may be disputes on territorial claims, as a nation, Filipinos must not be stuck with this discourse, as there are other aspects that require immediate attention, such as enabling the economy to thrive for the good and benefit of the majority.
Everyone, a round of applause to our first awardee, Professor Celso L. Cainglet.
Thank you very much, APCU. When I first came out discussing about the issue in South China Sea with Camentong Laurel, we were like voices in the wilderness. Nobody listens. And we were labeled with all things. As prosperity shifts from the west to the east, Asia's time has come. And the harassment of the West continues. In dealing with this, we go back to our very ancient, very profound treasury of knowledge and wisdom. The art of war of Kung Fu, the Wei Wu Wei of Taoism, doing something by doing nothing, and most of all, we take inspiration in the serenity and calmness of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. Thank you very much.
Professor Celso L. Cainglet. Our next awardee is a civil servant by heart and actively engaged in various community works and advocacies to extend and support to her fellow Filipinos. A former counselor who served 3 terms and now the Davao City Investment and Promotion Center Chief, where she has contributed much to the advancement of Davao City's and China's bilateral relations, trade, commerce, friendship, and mutual understanding. Let us all give a round of applause for Ms. April Marie S. Dayap.
civil servant by heart, April Marie Dayap has been actively engaged in various community works and advocacies to extend aid and support to fellow Filipinos. Born and raised in Davao City, she completed her secondary education at the Assumption College of Davao. She has an undergraduate degree in economics obtained from the Holy Cross of Davao College and a master's in business administration degree obtained from the Ateneo de Davao University. She is a former city councilor who served for 3 terms. During her term as councilor from 2013 to 2016, she served as the National Secretary of the National Movement for Young Legislator. And from 2016 to 2017, she became the interim Vice President and Executive Vice President of the National Movement for Young Legislator. By 2017, until the end of her term, she was also an ex-officio member, being the President of the Sangguniang Kabataan or SK Federation for 5 years and as Second District Councilor for 9 years. Currently, April serves as the Chief of the Davao City Investment and Promotion Center or DCIPC. As the head of the DCIPC, April, who officially took over the office on July 1, 2019, is in charge of bringing more investors to Davao City. Also, as Chief of DCIPC, April Dayap continues to forge closer ties with China through a new sisterhood agreement between the Davao City and Chongqing City in China. Through her efforts and excellent performance, some Chinese officials tagged Davao City as the best partner for trade, investment, and people-to-people exchanges. It is also noteworthy to mention that April Marie Dayap, in her duties as head of DCIPC, has contributed much to the advancement of Davao's and China's bilateral relations, commerce and trade, friendship, and mutual understanding. This year, the Awards of Promoting Philippines-China Understanding, or APCU, recognizes all efforts made by April, not only in serving as an instrument for the strengthening of the sisterhood cities pact between China and Davao City, but more importantly, in facilitating a renewed view and appreciation of the Chinese people among fellow Filipinos. April believes that openness to work in partnership with the Chinese is a key to progress and development of Davao City and the Philippines in its entirety.
Welcome, Miss April Marie S. Dayap.
Madayaw ug mayong hapon kanatong tanan. I'd like to thank APCU for this recognition. I am truly honored, and I'd like to share this recognition in honor to our VP-elect, Mayor Inday Sara Zimmerman Duterte, and to our Mayor-elect, Vice Mayor Sebastian Duterte, for this honor and recognition. They really inspired me a lot in terms of their views and appreciation on Philippine-China relations. And I'd really like to thank China for your wonderful contributions. Thank you very much for the beautiful friendship we shared. And rest assured that we will continue to work hard to promote better understanding among Filipinos and Chinese, and that we will create an environment to pave way for better and lasting and meaningful friendship. I'd also like to thank my former colleague in the City Council, Councilor Peter Lavinia, for nominating me and for believing in me. And thank you so much for the APCO organizers for this wonderful recognition and honor, and to my fellow awardees as well. Daghang salamat, mabuhay po tayong lahat, and let's promote beautiful friendship among Filipino and Chinese.
Very well said, Miss April Marie C. Dayap, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you as well to Mr. Sixto Benedicto and Attorney Rose Beatrix Trixie Cruz Angeles for presenting our first batch of awards. And now, to present the next award, for our next awardee, may we request General Fernando Pase and former Representative Harry Angping to come up on the stage to present the awards. Let's all give them a warm round of applause. Multi-awarded journalist and media practitioner who was a two-term director and president and is currently the secretary of the National Press Club of the Philippines. He has been vocal in expressing his favor in strengthening Philippines and China relations. For him, China and the Philippines are brothers, bound by their shared history. Congratulations to Mr. Paul M Gutierrez.
Paul Gutierrez is a multi-awarded journalist and media practitioner. He was a two-term director and president and is currently the secretary of the National Press Club of the Philippines, one of the country's oldest but biggest organizations of active members of the Philippine press. His career in mass media and journalism took off by the turn of the millennium in 2000, when he served as the editor of the Filipino Reporter, a magazine in the vernacular for Filipino overseas workers. Before his career in the mass media, Paul had also served in various positions in both public and private sector agencies and institutions. He was also part of former Philippine President Joseph Ejercito Estrada's Media Bureau. Paul also became a correspondent of the Daily Tribune, focusing on political issues. From 2005 to the present, Paul has been connected with the Philippine Journalists Incorporated, the publisher of the People's Journal and the People's Journal Tonight, as a regular columnist and Senate reporter. Among his awards as a journalist include the Plaque of Appreciation given by the Region 4B Police Office in 2006, and in 2009, the Most Enterprising Reporter of the Year presented by the PJI. In 2017, he was given the Outstanding Journalist Award during the 16th MCLE Convention. Paul Gutierrez is reckoned to be one of the few journalists in the country who has been vocal in expressing his favor for strengthening Philippines and China relations, and most significantly, correcting all misconceptions and biased stances made against China over the years, owing to the overbearing influence of the West, primarily the U.S. For Paul, China and the Philippines are brothers bound by their shared history and common national independence struggle against the Western or U.S. imperialism. In 2017, as NPC president, Paul signed a partnership agreement with the All China Journalists Association that made the NPC a member of the broader Belt and Road Initiative of China. Being aware of how Western imperialism and their local cohorts manipulate Philippine mainstream media, in May 2020, Paul established Pinoy Expose, primarily as an avenue to counter Western propaganda and help promote the views of China, knowing they represent the truth in any issue, as well as other articles that promote global peace, shared prosperity, and understanding. This year, the awards for the promotion of Philippines-China understanding, or APCU, recognizes all efforts and contributions made by Paul Gutierrez through his craft, not only in facilitating a greater awareness of historical ties between the Philippines and China, but in promoting every aspect of strengthening their friendly and brotherly relations.
Ladies and gentlemen, our third awardee for the major contribution, Mr. Paul M Gutierrez.
Thank you. All I can say is that I'm greatly humbled and at the same time surprised by this award. I never realized that correcting the many misconceptions about the relationship between Philippines and China would be so recognized by the APCU. I also, of course, would like to congratulate our new President-elect, President BBM, who has always been a good friend of the National Press Club. And yung tatay po niya ang sumalo sa National Press Club during 1977. And we know that the son would never also fail the expectations of the members of the press, particularly the National Press Club. Thank you also to Ambassador Wang Silian and to my former boss, Boss Erap, na matagal po akong naglingkod sa kanyang media bureau. Sa akin po mga kapatid sa media, ito pong pagkilalang ito hindi lamang po para sa akin, kundi para po sa ating lahat. Magandang hapon po at salamat pong muli.
Thank you so much for that heartfelt message, Mr. Paul M Gutierrez.
Thank you, General Fernando Pase and former Representative Harry Ongpin for presenting the award. For our next awardee, may we please request General Fernando Pase and Dr. Clarita Carlos to present the award. Awardee is a devoted language teacher and educator. He is the current Philippine Director of the Confucius Institute at the Angeles University Foundation, and he has been actively involved in advocacies to promote the Chinese language and the culture of Philippines in secondary schools, which is deemed relevant in broadening and strengthening the cultural exchanges and ties between Philippines and China. He is no other than Professor Kevin Franco Pamintuan.
Professor Kevin Franco Pamintuan is a devoted language teacher and educator who has already achieved much personally and professionally. Professor Pamintuan is currently the Philippine Director of the Confucius Institute at the Angeles University Foundation, which he has held since May of 2019. Like anyone else, his career had its humble beginnings when he first worked for the Super Philippines Incorporated as a bilingual practitioner from April to September of 2013. This led to his employment at the Confucius Institute of Angeles University Foundation as a faculty member from 2015 through 2017. This opportunity proved to be an early breakthrough in his career and profession. From a faculty member, Kevin then served as the Institute's admin officer for a year from 2017 to 2018 and later as assistant director from 2018 to 2019 before he was appointed Philippine Director. Born and raised in Angeles, Pampanga, Kevin completed his secondary education at the Holy Angel University. He pursued an undergraduate degree for the Bachelor of Secondary Education in Filipino and Chinese language teaching at the Angeles University Foundation and successfully graduated in 2013 cum laude. Immediately after graduation, Kevin pursued his graduate studies, obtaining his master's in teaching Chinese speakers of other languages in 2015 and a Doctor of Philosophy in Educational Management degree in 2022. As an educator, Kevin has been actively involved in advocacies to promote the Chinese language and the culture of the Philippines in secondary schools. He has been a member of the Philippine-China Friendship Club, or PCFC, and has written and published a number of researches and resource materials. Among these educational resources include Reading Comprehension Strategy, Use in Filipino and Chinese among Chinese language teaching scholars of Angeles University Foundation, published in TESOL, Online Journal. The use of WeChat application on CLT scholars, vocabulary acquisition, published in TESOL International Journal. The students' perceptions in Mandarin classes, NRHSK, results 2019. In the Asian ESP Journal, a communicative analysis of language functions in the Chinese as a foreign language textbooks. The Case of Happy Chinese 2020 in the Universal Journal of Education Research, and Reducing the Impacts of Pandemic to the Chinese Language Education through Localization and the International Journal of Language Education. Apart from from his full-time career as Philippine Director of the Confucius Institute of Angeles, Pampanga, Kevin has also been engaged in local and international consultancy and advocacy works, mainly as a resource person on teaching Chinese Mandarin as a foreign language, organized by the Department of Education as a consultant for the development of special program in foreign language, curriculum guides for grades 7 to 12, as representative to the Joint Conference of Confucius Institute in Southeast Asia, held in Laos in November 2018, and to the 2019 International Chinese Language Education Conference held in Shanghai in 2019. His recent professional engagements include participation as resource speaker to an online forum on how to effectively use SPFL Chinese Mandarin learning modules organized by the Universitas Sebalas Maret, Indonesia in 2020, as consultant to the webinar workshops on a special interest program, Principles and Guidelines in November 2020, as resource speaker to the Pillar 4 systems of the Internationalization Roadmap and a Sino-Foreign Joint Development for Native Chinese Teachers training in November and December of 2020 respectively, as consultant and resource speaker to the workshops on the development of ADM prototype self-learning modules or SPFL, an online training workshop on development and supplemental learning materials on SPFL in August of 2021, as consultant to the workshops on the validation of ADM prototype self-learning modules or SPFL, and the workshops on the finalization of ADM prototype self-learning modules for SPFL in October and November 2021 respectively. This year, the award for promoting Philippines-China Understanding or APCU recognizes Kevin Pamintuan for his dedication and advocacies, particularly in teaching and promoting the Chinese language among fellow educators and secondary students, which is deemed relevant in broadening and strengthening cultural exchanges and ties between Philippines and China.
Congratulations, Professor Kevin Franco Pamintuan.
It is a huge honor to be an awardee of the APPCU. This will be another source of inspiration for us to continue our service to the nation and continue work even harder to bring a brighter future in which the Philippines and China friendship will be in full bloom. I dedicate this award to my family, to my wife Kate, to my daughters, to all the Chinese teachers, to all the Chinese volunteer teachers, to all the Filipino teachers of Mandarin. 依照木星语，一生念师恩。我也想把这奖献给远在中国的我的人生和学术导师张世棒教授，献给培养我的母校菲律宾红十律师大学和中国福建师范大学。Let us continue working together to bring the people of our two countries and to look forward to more win-win cooperations between our people. 谢谢 and mabuhay.
Great job, Professor Kevin Franco Pamintuan. Congratulations. Congratulations to all of our major contribution awardees. Your efforts really made an impact to the deepening friendship between the Philippines and China. And thank you to our special guests who helped us in presenting their awards.
Thank you so much.
Now at this point, we now recognize the very profound contributions of our next set of awardees. Here are the Outstanding Contribution Awardees.
May we call on Mr. Jeffrey Nang, an incoming First Lady of the Republic of the Philippines, Attorney Luisa A. Marcos, and Senator Aquilino Martin D. Pimentel III to come up on stage to present the awards.
Begin with a multi-awarded writer, educator, poet, columnist, author of 5 books, economic, pop culture, politics, geopolitics analyst, and entrepreneur. He has facilitated a better understanding of the Chinese culture and the Chinese community in the Philippines through his writings and through his many social, civic, and cultural activities. Congratulations to a dear friend, Wilson Lee Flores.
Wilson Lee Flores is a multi-awarded writer, educator, poet, columnist, author of 5 books, economics, pop culture, politics, geopolitics, analyst, and entrepreneur. He also describes himself as a social worker and is undertaking various philanthropic and cultural projects either in his capacity or as an officer of various non-government organizations. He is the honorary chairman of Anvil Business Club, board member and chairman of Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chambers of Commerce Industry Incorporated, Public Information and Media Committee, and moderator of Pandesal Forum at 83-year-old Kamuning Bakery Cafe. Among his unique civic and cultural projects include donating several public school buildings to rural communities in the Philippines, moderating the non-partisan Pandesal Forum, which hopes to help elevate the public discourse on national and global issues, and having his 83-year-old Kamuning Bakery Cafe, in cooperation with Quezon City Hall, baked and distributed thousands of loaves of bread for a month in 2020 during the lockdown due to the pandemic to all QC government hospitals, medical and security frontliners, and shelter for the homeless. As a writer, Wilson has written on different diverse topics ranging from business, economics, pop culture, humor, and arts to politics, winning him a record of 15 Catholic Mass Media Award, or CMMA. This is thus far the highest number of CMMA ever won by a person of this prestigious award. Various award-giving bodies have likewise recognized him for his exemplary work as a writer, a media practitioner, and an entrepreneur with social civic endeavors. These recognitions include the Quezon City's highest honor for most outstanding citizens, the 2018 Manuel L. Quezon Gawad Parangal Award, and the 2012 Maestro Award from Grace Christian College. Some of his notable writings promoting the better Philippines-China understanding centered on the anti-colonial revolutionary and World War II cooperation as allies between the Philippines and China, how Chinese entrepreneurs contributed to Philippine progress, the struggles and socio-economic contributions of ethnic Chinese entrepreneurs to Philippine national life since the Spanish colonial era, and the Chinese immigrant entrepreneurs throughout Philippine history. He pioneered in writing about the often misunderstood and unheralded immigrant Chinese entrepreneurs and humanized their stories of struggles on his weekly Monday column called Roots of Philippine Business for the Manila Chronicle newspaper. Wilson believes that industries of Chinese immigrants' struggles and positive contributions to the Filipino nation building are priceless stories integral to the Filipino national heritage. Wilson also researched, traced, and verified the ancestral roots of Philippine national hero Dr. Jose Rizal in the village of Zanggu in Xinjiang of Fujian Province, Southeast Asia. In his articles, he proposed the installation of a Rizal monument in Fujian, which was eventually realized with the world's largest Rizal monument of 18.61 meters in height and even a huge Rizal Park. Both are now symbols of the ancient bond of friendship between the Philippines and China. This year, the awards for promoting Philippines-China Understanding, or APCU, recognizes Wilson Lee Flores as one of his worthy recipients for his efforts and contributions contributions to facilitating a better understanding of the Chinese culture and the Chinese community in the Philippines through his writings as well as through his many socio-civic and cultural initiatives. As a media practitioner, Wilson has done much not only to promote Chinese culture but also open up avenues for Filipino to appreciate better the ethnic Chinese community and their positive role in the development, nation building, and sustained cooperation between the Philippines and China.
Ladies and gentlemen, our awardee, a dear friend and colleague, Wilson Lee Flores.
Excellencies, good afternoon. Ambassador, you are very fortunate today. You are seated beside two landslide election winners in Philippine history. A writer should be read, not heard, so I'm not going to make any speech. Just thank you very much to everyone for supporting, and thank you for this prestigious award from APCU and from the Chinese Embassy. I wish Philippine-China relations to continue and to flourish for more than, we have been friends for more than 1,000 years. I wish more friendship and trade and success for both countries. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Congratulations once again, Mr. Wilson Lee Flores. Our next awardee is the voice behind the popular Backbencher, a regular contributor of the China Daily Global Edition and the Global Times. He is a writer, columnist, and political analyst, forging better relations between the Philippines and China by acknowledging the important role of China in aiding the development of the Philippine economy. Let's all welcome Rodrigo Rod P. Kapunan.
Columnist writer Rodrigo Rod Kapunan is the voice behind the popular Backbencher column in the Manila Standard today. He is also a regular contributor to the China Daily Global Edition and the Global Times, both internationally circulated newspapers. Academically speaking, Rod earned his undergraduate degree course in political science and a Bachelor of Laws from the University of the East. Rod is also an active member of the Warren Society Association of the Philippines Incorporated and the Philippines-China Friendship Club. Having a background in politics and the law, it is not difficult to see where his interests and leanings toward various political issues might have been rooted. Rod has been vocal about his views on many issues and continuously confront Philippine politics and government as a writer and political analyst. As a columnist, he has written and published relevant articles and pieces and offered alternative views towards understanding the Philippine culture and economy. He has also written and delivered talks on the disputed South China Sea issue, topics involving Philippines and China relations and China's foreign policies, culture, and shared community principles enunciated by Chinese President Xi Jinping as a guest speaker and resource person. To name a few, he was a resource speaker at the Jinan University in Guangzhou, China in 2018, where he talked about the current development of domestic policies in the Philippines and its implication to the Sino-Philippine relation. He was also a resource speaker at the South China Sea Boao Sub-Forum, or Asia, in 2019, held in Hainan, China. He also delved into opportunities available to the Philippines on further cooperation at the new stage of the 21st century maritime Silk Road. Rod is keen on the support and aid extended by China to the Philippines as an Asian neighbor. Contrary to the mindset that has been blinded many Filipinos today, he sees the Philippines-China cooperation as an opportunity more than a threat to the country's its economy and security. It is in this light and the reason that the award for promoting Philippines-China understanding, or APU, recognizes the efforts and contributions made by Rod Kapunan as a writer, columnist, and political analyst in forging better relations with China, and by acknowledging the important role of China in aiding the development of the Philippine economy.
Let's all give a warm round of applause for Mr. Rodrigo Rod P. Kapunan.
To thank you for giving me this award. This is not expected, pero masaya ako dahil I managed to enlighten most of our people about our relations with China. Alam mo, my first break on this is that when I wrote something about our claim in the South China Sea, immediately the following day, a reporter from New China News Agency visited me and asked if I be interviewed. Yun lang naman. Kaya simula noon, medyo marami na in-invite na nila ako magsulat sa dyaryo nila, at naging contributor na ako ng famous na China Daily nila. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mr. Rodrigo Rod P. Kapunan.
Thank you as well, Senator Aquilino, Martin D. Pimentel III, for helping us present the award. And to present the award for our next awardees, may we request for Mr. Jeffrey Nam and an Attorney Luisa A. Marcos to stay. For our third awardee, she is born to nobility as the daughter of Jamlul Kiram III and a descendant of the Sultan of Sulu, Paduka Batara. She is one of the delegates to the 600th year of Sulu-China Friendship Celebration in Guangxi, China. She has been instrumental in bringing to the fore evidence of ancient ties between China and the people of Mindanao, particularly the Sultanate of Sulu. Congratulations, Princess Jaisal H. Kiram of the Sultanate of Sulu.
As her title implies, Princess Jaisal Kiram of the Sultanate of Sulu is born to nobility as a daughter of Jamalul Kiram III and a descendant of the Sultan of Sulu, Paduka Batara. Her innate interest in her ancient roots led her to what seems to be lifelong advocacy that she now pursues, not only as an individual, but as a leader and representative of her people. Princess Jaisal is currently the president of Philsilat Sports Association and the co-founder and president of the International Center for Peace, Reconciliation, and Development, or ICPRD. As young as she may be, Princess Jaisal has held leadership and key positions in various organizations she is involved with. An AB Interdisciplinary Studies graduate from De La Salle College of St. Benil in Manila, she has already obtained several distinctions over the years for her active engagements and participation in important missions and events, such as one of the delegates to the 600th year of Sulu-China Friendship Celebration in Guangxi, as head of the Philippine delegation to the 19th World Festival of Youth and Students held in Sochi, Russia in 2017, to name a few. In her pursuits of retracting her roots, Princess Jaisal has been instrumental in bringing to the fore pieces of evidence of ancient ties between China and the people of Mindanao, particularly the Sultanate of Sulu, that goes beyond trading, but also of alliance and cultural assimilation. Her commitment to the furtherance of the legacy of her ancestors has not only led to an increased awareness of Philippines-China historical ties among her people, but such efforts greatly facilitated the promotion of more people-to-people interactions between the two countries by way of skills, knowledge, and human resource exchanges. She hopes not only for the Philippine government to find means of supporting efforts of preserving the legacy and historical alliance that many sultanates in Mindanao, like that of Sulu, have long started. For her, history is not only there to render evidence of long-standing amity with China, but also to lay the basis and grounding for our own identity, both as Filipinos and as Asians. This year, the awards for the promotion of Philippines-China understanding recognize Princess Jaisal Kiram for her efforts and initiatives in facilitating the strengthening of friendship between the Philippines and China, and for her vocal expression of amity and gratitude, especially concerning the preservation of the history and legacy of her ancestor, the Sultan of Sulu.
Let's welcome on stage Princess Jaisal H. Kiram of the Sultanate of Sulu.
Kinakabahan po ako. Greetings of peace. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. This award is a testament of a long-standing relationship between Philippines and China that dates back 600 years ago. This award is a reminder, and this award is an appreciation of the glorious past of the Tausug people. So I share this award to the people of Sulu, and of course to my inspiration, my father, the late Sultan of Sulu, Sultan Jamalul Kiram III. Looking forward for another 600 years of friendship, brotherhood, people-to-people understanding between Philippines and China. Sheshe, salamat, mabuhay po.
Congratulations, Princess Jaisal H. Kiram of the Sultanate of Sulu. And to complete our outstanding contribution awardees, he is a self-taught literary craftsman, screenplay writer, film director, and a practicing journalist into his octogenarian years. He's known for various award-winning films such as Tag-Ulan sa Tag-Araw and Lumuhod Ka sa Lupa. Of the more than 100 articles he has written in his column that deals with China, 50 have already been published in an anthology entitled China, the Way, the Truth, and the Life. The book evidently is the main credentials for his nomination to this year's award for promoting Philippines-China understanding. So we congratulate Mr. Mauro Giasamonte.
Mauro Giasamonte is not only a Manila Times columnist and book author, but a self-taught literary craftsman, screenplay writer, film director, and a practicing journalist on his octogenarian years. Of more than 100 articles that he has written in his column that deal with China, 50 have already been published in an anthology titled China, the Way, the Truth, and the Life. The book is the foremost credential for Samonte's nomination to this year's APCO Awards. It is just one of the things that he has intended to do to help better Philippines-China understanding. One of his aspirations as a movie maker is the filmization of Laurel, a screenplay by which he intends to strengthen out the many distortions of the real history of the Second World War in the Philippines. Laurel exposes the entire breadth and width of American atrocities in the Philippines, from the time of its colonization of the country in the 1890s to the so-called liberation of Manila in 1945, in which the actual bombing by MacArthur was what reduced the city to rubble, killing 200,000 100,000 civilians and turning Manila into the second most ravaged city in World War II, next only to Warsaw, Poland. His firm belief is that xenophobia among Filipinos is caused less by their actual anti-Chinese sentiments than by continuing cultural enslavement by Americans. Filipinos' easy-to-believe false American yarns against China to destroy American credibility is key to curing Filipino ill will toward China. At 81, Tamonte cannot but feel he's running out of time to do the film. But with China, hope springs eternal.
Let us all welcome Mauro Giasamonte.
Excellencies, President-elect Bongbong Marcos, Ambassador Wang Chilian, Chairman Raul Lambino, allow me a little candor on this occasion. Being given at a time that I'm into the fading years of my life, this award can only remind me that I'm already 81 years old. And if I go the way of my father, who died at 85, that gives me 4 years more only to finish the many things that I have planned to do to help promote Philippine-China understanding. But then I can go the way of my mother, who died at age 97. And in that event, I would be reaping a windfall in contributing to the efforts of pushing Philippine-China understanding to the maximum. In that event, we will be reaching the great masses of the Filipino people who are constantly harassed by American propaganda against China. We can go down to the farmers, the workers, down to the lowliest squatters, they call, to bring China's benefits and friendship what I want to say is, in pushing Philippine-China understanding, we have to pay attention to the living conditions of the Filipino masses, because these sectors are the most prone to be influenced by American propaganda against China. I'm sorry. So, it is important, utmost importance, give it the most important, to pay attention to the living conditions of the Filipino masses. Because then it is important that in attending to the living conditions of the Filipino masses, we have to be resolutely we have to pay attention to the living conditions of the Filipino masses, because they are constantly harassed by American propaganda against China. So it is come again. Yeah, okay. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, for a people being constantly bombarded by American propaganda against China, then it is people can never hope to enjoy China's I'm at a loss. Anyway, I'm sorry. What I mean, for a people constantly bombarded with American propaganda against China, then they can never hope to enjoy the nutrients
Thank you so
of China
much.
truth.
Thank you so much, sir. Mauro Giasamonte, thank you so much.
Congratulations, Mauro Giasamonte. Thank you to our presenters and to all of our awardees. We are very grateful for your outstanding contributions. We'd like to remind everyone that we are also live on SMNI.
Thank you so much. And now we move on to the most coveted awards today, the Hall of Fame. And right now, may we request President-elect Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines, His Excellency Ambassador Huang Xilian, and Secretary Raul Lambino to come up on stage to present the award for our first Hall of Fame awardee. First of all, for our first Hall of Fame awardee, he promotes amity and harmonious channels for trade and cultural exchanges between the Philippines and China. He is also the founding chairman of the Benedicta College Incorporated and chairman of the FLB Prime Holdings, a renowned and esteemed public figure in the Philippines who started his consular mission around the mid-80s. Hats off to you, His Excellency Ambassador Francisco Benedicto.
Francisco Benedicto was Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the People's Republic of China. He is a renowned and esteemed public figure in the Philippines. He is a multi-awarded individual celebrated not only for his accomplishments in government service, but likewise in his academic and entrepreneurial endeavors. Born and raised in the province of Cebu, he came from a family of business magnates, devoted to philanthropy and the promotion of the rich Filipino culture through advocacies in education and business enterprise. To date, he is the founding chairman of the Benedicto College Incorporated and chairman of the FLB Prime Holdings Incorporated. Before his debut in government and consular services, he was the former chairman and general manager of the Benedicto Development Corporation and former president of the B. Benedicto and Sons Corporation Incorporated. His active involvement in public sector activities began in the 70s when he was elected president of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which he held for 3 terms from 1971 through 1974. Concurrent with the said position, he also served as president of the Cebu Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce Incorporated for 7 terms, from 1972 through 1986, as the regional governor for the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry with its central office in Manila from 1977 through 1983, and as president of the Mandaue chapter of the Commerce and Industry Incorporated for 6 terms, 1980 to 1986. Other distinct positions held by the good Ambassador Benedicto in the government sector include his membership in the Cebu City Planning and Development Board in the city government of Cebu from 1974 through 1978, and as co-chair for the Cebu Host Council, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC, specifically for the senior officials and ministerial meetings in 1986. His rich experience in government service may also be gleaned from the various key positions he held under different leadership in administrations over the last decades. His consular mission began around mid-80s until April 2011. At present, Ambassador Francis Benedicto is recognized by the award for promoting the Philippines-China Understanding, or APCU, for his relevant contributions in opening and promoting amity and harmonious channels for trade and cultural exchanges between the Philippines and China. His vast experience in the field of education, business, and trade, and the positions held in government and diplomatic services undoubtedly enabled him to observe the needs of his own country keenly and to identify the opportunities available for its economy to thrive in the years to come through the support and cooperative ties with China.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a warm of applause for Ambassador Francisco Benedicto.
Congratulations to our Hall of Fame awardee, Ambassador Francisco Benedicto, to be represented.
Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, I have one of the most important and challenging assignments to the People's Republic of China. I was opportune to represent my country in a nation that has deep historical ties with the Philippines that dates back to centuries. One of my objectives was to reinforce Philippine visibility in China and vice versa, particularly in areas of economic, political, security, and cultural cooperation. I fondly recall that the essential trust related to my China experience, I sought to promote cultural exchange for better understanding and appreciation of our respected people, further advancing mutual friendship and common bond between our two countries. It was an honor to extend invitation for the Chinese cultural dance troupes to handling successful Chinese acrobatic troupes, as well as overseeing the Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival. I deeply appreciate for the honor to be part of the Hall of Fame Award. And thank you very much. Mabuhay tayo lahat.
Congratulations to our Hall of Fame awardee, Ambassador Francisco Benedicto, to be represented by Heidi Benedicto Barcelon.
Chinese community locally by acknowledging their contributions to the Philippine economy and nation building. He has also been vocal in expressing his support and cooperation with China as a regional partner in Asia and the ASEAN member countries. He is an actor turned businessman and the 13th President of the Republic of the Philippines. Congratulations, former Philippine President Joseph Ejercito Estrada.
Actor, turned businessman and politician, Joseph Ejercito Estrada was the 13th President of the Republic of the Philippines. As an actor, he had made a name for himself in the movie industry by being among the most loved actors during his time, aside from winning several famous Best Actor awards for movies. Selected as Vice President in 1992, which he held through 1998. President Erap is still reckoned as one of the most loved presidents of the Philippines, owing not only to his innate charisma, but perhaps to being identified as a hero of the masses, owed mainly to the roles he portrayed in films over the years. As a politician, he has proven himself worthy of respect and esteem for being diligent in his tasks and campaigns against crime, an effort recognized by leaderships of neighboring and Western countries alike. Countries like China and Russia perhaps admire his openness to building friendly relations that go beyond politics and ideology. The awards for promoting Philippines-China Understanding, or APCU, recognizes former Philippine President Joseph Erap Estrada for his continuous efforts in supporting the Filipino-Chinese community locally by acknowledging their value contributions to the Philippine economy and nation building. Furthermore, APCU likewise recognizes the former president's vocal expression of support and cooperation with China as a regional partner in Asia and the ASEAN member countries.
Let's all give a big hand for former Philippine President Joseph Ejercito Estrada. On behalf of former President Joseph Estrada, we'd like to invite Mr. Paul Gutierrez and Herman Laurel to come up on stage.
Distinguished guests here, it's our sincere apology that former President Erap had to suddenly go home due to some personal we call emergency. But he left a speech that he wants to be read for this occasion. Greetings to President-elect Bongbong Marcos, Jr., First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos, His Excellency Ambassador Huang Zilian, sa iba pang mga natatanging mga bisita at kasama natin ngayon, magandang araw sa ating lahat. Ako'y lubos na nagpapasalamat sa pamunuan ng APCU at sa Embahada ng China sa ginawang pagkilala sa aking mga naging ambag sa pagpapatibay ng pagkakaibigan at pagsasamahan ng China at Pilipinas sa mga nakalipas na panahon. May the strong bond of brotherly friendship between China and the Philippines continue to grow and prosper in the years to come. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po tayong lahat. That's the message of President Joseph Estrada. Thank you very much po.
Congratulations, former Philippine President Joseph Ejercito Estrada. Much deserved recognition.
And of course, thank you to Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines, His Excellency Ambassador Huang Zilian, President-elect Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., and Secretary Raul Lambino for presenting the awards.
And there you go. Let's give our distinguished awardees for promoting Philippine-China understanding for this year a round of applause.
They truly deserve the recognition of today's ceremony for all of their amazing contributions to Philippines-China friendship and mutual understanding.
That's right. Their exemplary contributions really made a big difference.
You know, Carlo, there are many great individuals behind the deepening friendship between the Philippines and China. And that includes this renowned, well-loved and respected person who worked hard and extended a great service in strengthening Philippines-China relations and mutual understanding. Unfortunately, he recently passed away.
We are all saddened by that, but you know what? We can all find comfort in the fact that his legacy and goodwill will always remain an inspiration and motivation to all of us. Let's have a look and commemorate the wonderful years of the late Philippine Ambassador to China, Jose Santiago Chito Santa Romana.
Esteemed envoy and statesman, the late Ambassador Chito Santa Romana was an activist by heart who fought his way to success through diligence in industry. He completed elementary and secondary school at De La Salle University. He obtained his degree in AB Economics and BS in Commerce from the same school in 1970, and immediately after pursued a graduate degree course in economics at the University of the Philippines for a year from 1970 to 1971. He obtained Master's of Arts degree in International Relations in 1987 from the Tufts University, Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. Ambassador Santa Romana also served as a professional lecturer at the University of the Philippines Asian Center in 2015, handling courses in politics and governance in China. He was a trustee of the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement and teach for the Philippines from 2016 through 2022. He was also an esteemed member of the Philippine Association for Chinese Studies or PAX Advocacy Board from 2016 through 2022 and was the former president of PAX from 2014 to 2016. he was appointed as a non-resident Philippine ambassador to Mongolia and Democratic People's Republic of Korea, concurrent with his appointment as Philippine ambassador to the People's Republic of China from 2016 through April 2022. Over the years, Ambassador Chito Santoromana had received several distinctions, such as the Emmy Award, News and Documentary category in 2001 and 2006, the award from the Overseas Press Club of America for his team's coverage of the massive China earthquake in 2008, and the Presidential Award, Gawad Mabini, with the rank of Dakilang Kamanong in 2020 for his instrumental role in the strengthening of the Philippine and China ties. President Duterte posthumously awarded him the Order of Sikatuna, rank of Datu, as he lay in state at the Heritage Chapel on April 30. He learned Mandarin at the Beijing Language Institute to cope with the day-to-day living in China, allowing him to immerse in studying works that required fluency in both Chinese and English languages. Earlier in his career, he worked as a translation editor for a Chinese publishing house at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, where he was allowed to edit and translate into English Two Economics book and several other articles by noted Chinese economists at that time. After this brief stint at the publishing house, he landed a job in ANC News that opened up more significant opportunities for his professional career. As a correspondent and producer, he reported on major stories such as the crisis in U.S.-China relations in 1999 and 2001, the economic rise of China, and the Beijing Olympics in 2008. He worked with esteemed ABC anchors Peter Jennings and Diane Sawyer when they reported from China. From a correspondent to a reporter-producer, much later as Beijing Bureau Chief of ABC News, this was a career he held from 1989 until his retirement in 2010. To have lived, worked, and thrived in China for the most of his life, it may be said that Ambassador Chito Santoromana had the advantage of knowing and understanding China better, from its leadership to its culture and people, that many Chinese and Filipino-Chinese in the Philippines. Gleaning from his life, works, and advocacy, he had been an effective instrument in educating people about the Chinese culture and China in terms of its leadership, politics, and development goals. Furthermore, it may be said that perhaps his best work and legacy are that of his dedication to promoting people-to-people interaction by sharing his appreciation, knowledge, and perception of China, and ideals in maintaining amity amidst and despite disputes through diplomatic means and channels, considering that China and the Philippines share important historical roots. This year, the award for promoting Philippines-China understanding, or APCU, recognizes all these efforts and relevant contributions by the late Ambassador Chito Santoromana, and for being instrumental in maintaining a healthy friendship and cooperative relations between China and the Philippines.
As we honor the exceptional contributions of the late Philippine ambassador to China, Jose Santiago Chito Santoromana, we're fortunate to have his family to receive the 2022 Award for Promoting Philippines-China Understanding Special Award, Gawad Sultan Paduka Pahala. May we request President-elect Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines, His Excellency Ambassador Huang Xilian, and APCU Chairman Secretary Raul Lambino to join us on stage to present the Gawad Sultan Paduka Pahala Award to the family of the late Philippine Ambassador to China, Jose Santiago Chito Santoromana. We would also like to call on stage the family of the late Ambassador Chito Santoromana, Ms. Neni Santoromana Cruz, and Mr. Chris Santoromana to receive the award on his behalf.
and gentlemen, let us all stand and let us give a big round of applause to the late Philippine Ambassador to China, Jose Santiago Chito Santa Romana. Thank you, Ms. Neni Santa Romana Cruz and Mr. Chris Santa Romana, President-elect Ferdinand R. Ramos, Jr., Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines, His Excellency Ambassador Juan Silian.
Good afternoon to everyone here today. Our family has given me the privilege of delivering the family response this afternoon. My name is Chris, and I'm the younger son of the recipient of this special award, my dad, the late Ambassador Chito Santa Romana. I have one elder brother, and his name is Norman. Norman works in Shanghai, while I am working here in BGC. Our family is deeply touched and honored by the gesture of the granting of this special award, the Gawad Sultan Paduka Pahala, by this award-giving body. The award for promoting Philippine-China understanding, or APCU, APPCU. We wish to express our sincere gratitude to the two organizations that are leading this award-giving body, namely the Association for Philippines-China Understanding, or APCU, and the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Manila. I would now like to share with you the words of my dad in what nobody knew at the time would turn out to be the last interview with him. This was his interview to the interview question, this was his answer to the interview question: what was he most proud of, and how would he like to be remembered? I quote, "Looking back, it was a rare privilege to serve as the Philippine ambassador to China and contribute to the turnaround and significant improvement in our bilateral relations. There have been numerous milestones and achievements during the course of my diplomatic assignment. But if there is one thing I am proud of, it is this: to have played a frontline role in building a bridge of friendship and cooperation between the Filipino and Chinese people that transcended any differences and contributed to regional stability and prosperity. For after all, what is diplomacy for, if not to serve the people and promote the country's interests?" In closing then, I would like to express our family's deepest thanks and appreciation to the organizers of this afternoon's awarding ceremony for the special award, the Gawad Sultan Paduka Pahala, to honor the memory of my dad. May I end by saying that my dad would be very pleased by your thoughtful and heartfelt gesture of this special award by APPCU. I thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, may we call on all the awardees this evening to please come up on stage for a photo op. Everybody that's been awarded tonight, we invite you all up here on stage for one last photo op before we continue. We wish for our presenters to remain on stage. Both 2021 and 2022. Awardees, please.
May we also request Mr. Jeffrey now to please come up on stage as well for the photo op.
As well as all the presenters, I believe you're all invited to be on stage. All the presenters.
Once again, a huge congratulations to all of our awardees today. Please come up on stage for your photo opportunity. May we also request Attorney Lisa Marcos to come up on stage for your photo op. Thank you.
Once again, the APCU 2021 and 2022 laureates up on stage. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You are our heroes. Thank you for your exemplary contribution to the Philippines and China understanding. applause for the APCO 2021 and 2022 laureates, our awardees for this evening.
Thank you so much, and once again, congratulations to all of the awardees.
You may go back to your seats. Thank you so much.
And one more photo with the APCO committee. May we request?
The APCO committee. Sorry.
And,
may we request?
President-elect and Ambassador Huang,
That's okay.
may we stay on?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We still have a long evening tonight, Luella.
Yes.
More surprises to come.
A lot of entertainment programs up ahead, as I've heard.
Of course.
May we request the APCO organizing committee to please come up on stage so we can have our photo opportunity. And the embassy staff as well. And all awardees, kindly exit the stage and return to your seats. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you. Thank you so much to all the awardees, and once again, congratulations. All right, may we request the APCO organizing committee and embassy staff to please come up on stage for this photo opportunity.
IVIPs with our President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Ambassador Wang Silian, Raul Lambino, Jeffrey Nang, Attorney Liza Marcos,
To the hardworking officers of APCO and the embassy staff for making this event possible. All right, let us all pose for our photo. And here we go.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Once more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Congratulations, everyone, and thank you
so much. Thank you very much, everybody. From an inspiring pillar of strength, commitment, and passion, we move on to the recognition of the people who exemplify the same qualities.
Let's hear some inspiring words from the Association for Philippines-China Understanding, President Mr. Jeffrey Nang.
President-elect, Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., incoming First Lady, Attorney Luisa Araneta Marcos, former President Joseph Ejercito Estrada, His Excellency Ambassador Huang Silian, Senator Aquilino Pimentel III and wife Katrina, APCO Chairman, Secretary Raul Lambino, incoming National Security Advisor, Dr. Clarita Carlos, incoming Presidential Communications Operations Office, Secretary Attorney Rose Beatriz Cruz Angeles, Congressman Harry Angping, fellow officers and members of the Association for Philippines-China Understanding, or APCO, honored officials from the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the Philippines, to our first and second batch of APCO laureates, distinguished guests, and friends, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant evening to all. Former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., former First Lady Imelda Romualdez Marcos, and the First Family went to China in 1975 to establish diplomatic ties when it was unpopular. Ambassador Chito Santa Romana was among the first to visit China in 1971 when it was unsafe. Former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and the original members and founders of APCO visited China in 1977 when it was still risky. They all chose to go to China not because it was easy and convenient, but because it was hard and challenging at the height of the Cold War. And because they did this for the love of the country and to develop Philippine-China relations and understanding. Indeed, in the past half a century, they have been proven correct and prescient about engaging with China. The development of China has been unprecedented in human history. 1 billion Chinese have risen from poverty. China may soon become the largest economy in the world. China has become the Philippines' largest trading partner and the country's second largest source of foreign investment. We have territorial disputes with China. Yes, they are serious, but it is not the be-all and end-all of our relationship with China. Our relations with China should not be centered on the West Philippine Sea, but instead, it should be multifaceted, with an economic phase, a political phase, a cultural phase, a health phase, an education phase, and a Filipino people to Chinese people phase. This is where APCO comes in. Since its establishment in 1974, APCO is the pioneer and leading non-government organization in promoting people-to-people diplomacy between the Philippines and China. We remember Ambassador Chito and APCO's immediate past president, Rene Velasco. We honor them with every student scholar we send for exchange with China, with every cultural and academic forum we organize, with every economic and trade delegation we undertake. We have bestowed on Ambassador Chito this highest honor, the Gawad Sultan Paduka Pahala Award, to recognize his indisputable contribution to promoting Philippines-China relations. And just like Sultan Pahala 600 years ago, Ambassador Chito gave his full amount of devotion to his very last breath in China, serving the Philippines and upholding the cause of Philippines-China understanding. Under President Rodrigo Duterte's independent foreign policy, Ambassador Chito has been at the forefront of bringing home the bacon from China. He has ushered in a fresh golden age of Philippine-China relations. China donated around 5 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines to the Philippines at the height of the pandemic, and a further 52 million doses through commercial procurement. Now there is an opportunity to further strengthen Philippines-China relations and understanding under the incoming administration of President-elect Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Indeed, we can expect Philippine-China relations to shift to a higher gear and lead to more fruitful and meaningful outcomes for our two countries. the incoming administration can deepen exchanges at various levels with China in the economy, trade, infrastructure, energy, culture, and education. As the country begins constructing from the effects of the pandemic, crucial breakthroughs can be achieved through a whole-of-society approach in both our countries through mutual cooperation and understanding. Thus, we must embrace the low-cost technology that China can offer, from basic infrastructure to high-speed railways, learn from rural health experts to agriculture specialists, welcome tourists, students, business people, and academics, and foster sister city-to-city, province-to-province, university-to-university tie-ups all over the Philippines, a united front approach that will advance us forward. Thus, in today's APCU awarding ceremony, we are putting our 10 laureate awardees at the front and center of APCU's agenda. We recognize a roster of 10 Filipinos who are often uncelebrated but have nonetheless opened up avenues for a better appreciation of the Filipino and Chinese cultures. Historical ties, precisely what we in APCU endeavor to pursue, a strengthened mutual understanding, trust, and friendship between the peoples of the Philippines and China. May we all be inspired by Ambassador Chito and our 10 APCU laureates today, and may we strive to emulate their footsteps in our own simple and unique ways. With this imprinted in our minds and courage in our hearts, I now close today's ceremony. Mabuhay ang ating 10 awardees. Mabuhay tayong lahat. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you so much for that heartfelt speech, Mr. Jeffrey Nam. We are live on SMNI. And there you have it. May we all take inspiration from our awardees as we continue to strengthen the partnership and friendship between the Philippines and China.
And we are definitely sure that this relationship will continue to flourish and prosper for many years.